Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. All right, I would like my viewers to continue praying for me by hitting the dislike button. I've gotten a few dozen prayers over the last week, and things have been going right. I learned the hard way this year that no matter what you do for a living, even if you work your dream job, which I have on multiple fronts this year, there's a lot more to being an X than being an X, no matter what X is, right? I'll let you fill in that blank. Whatever your dream job is, once you get to there, there's a lot more to it than that. What do I mean by that? I'm doing tutoring, and which is one of my passions, but I ran into some difficulty at the tutoring center. One of my students breaks open a box of Cheetos and gets it all over her fingers, and I have milk allergies. My skin will break out. Now, should I tell the student about that? Sure. The problem is that it does not always get taken the right way. Got kids who are 9, 10 years old. A lot of them don't want to come to tutoring. And when they hear that their tutor will run for the hills when you open a bag of Cheetos, guess what? That's what they'll do to get out of tutoring. And a lot of times, even my boss will side with the students. After all, they're the ones who are writing his paycheck, right? And a lot of times, what's right to do and what's popular to do get conflicted sometimes, right? My boss wrote me up for poor customer service, and to be fair, I should have written back, right? I should have said, this is a medical issue. Thank you for pointing out customer service. I'll do my best, but this is a medical issue, right? I could have done that. At the time, I didn't think about doing that in large two reasons, actually. My the job was kind of temporary anyway. We were going to go back to reopening, right? And second, when I looked at the write-up, I saw that there were check marks, warning 1, warning 2, warning 3. And I thought to myself, I hope I won't be so unlucky again. And I signed it with the understanding, I hope I won't be so unlucky again. Right? It's kind of like, I'm trying to think, if you have a car insurance policy and they give you like accident forgiveness, right? And you get into an accident, you just hope you're not going to be unlucky again. You might not fight that one accident if it's not going to raise your insurance premiums today, right? I kind of treated it like that. What I didn't think about was that your job, maybe it does give you 3 warnings. The trick question is, does it really give you 3 warnings? Because once you get that first write-up, everything gets colored differently from then on in, right? Let's face it, every time you run into trouble at your workplace, it's not always your fault, right? Just like every time you get into a car accident, it's not your fault. Sometimes it takes 2 to get into an issue. Sometimes the other side is the one that's wrong, right? Just like the food allergy issue, right? Sometimes it's stuff that's outside of anybody's control, really, right? Um, Sometimes the kids are upset that COVID cases are up and we have to do the tutoring remotely again. That can happen, right? Um, but once you have that one write-up, instantly all of those events get colored against you. And so I made a huge mistake by signing that write-up without question. I learned the hard way. Uh, Even though the write-up might say you get 3 warnings, you don't. It's really uh, you don't get any warnings. We just document 3 times before we fire you. You got to treat those 3 warnings like that, right? And so if your write-up is inaccurate or incomplete or anything, you need to speak up at that point, not when you get the 3rd warning, right? And so I was upset that this had come up again. It traumatized me when the kid brought in the Cheetos. Even though she apologized, even though my boss apologized, it still hit me that how fragile my job is. A student bringing in a food that she didn't, innocent to her, right, can derail what I had planned. Uh, any number of things could derail, right? Sometimes kids say things that are inappropriate, and then they blame me for the outcome of their inappropriate discussion, right? That has happened before. I had a student who told me that his sister's best friend was pregnant and asked me how she could be pregnant without a guy. And I said, it's a very rare chance, 1 in 3 million, that sometimes people fall in love with themselves and they get themselves pregnant, but it's rare, right? Maybe it's that. I didn't want to tell him that, he's naive, right? So I told him it might be that. And it got his sister really worried that if she experiences love with herself, she might get pregnant. And and their parents were very upset that I had brought that up. Right. Even though he insisted on me answering him before he would continue the tutoring, it just goes. And so things like that bring a lot of instability, and it makes me want to do other things too, like my art projects. Right. Here I did a hand rendition of the mathematical logarithm table. Unfortunately, the art projects are killing me too. They're heavy, they're bulky, they require me to interact with customers. Right now, my storage unit, which I'm just about to go to rearrange some things, in the summertime, it becomes a disaster because it's hot in there. I'm racing to get things in and out, thinking I'm going to have a stroke. Sometimes I make sure to have 911 on speed dial on my phone just in case anything goes wrong with me. I feel like I almost have to do that just to go in there, right? To be safe, right? I'm sure they also have a lot of good security footage. I'm sure the operator at the desk would notice something as well. But still, um, and just a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And it makes me stop and realize every time I see somebody who seems like they're living the dream at their job, I realize that there's probably a lot more to their job than that job, right? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.